Talk Beyond 2040, and welcome to another edition of the Progressive Rock and Metal album review series. And today I'm going to be taking a look at an EP that was released in 2009 on Globe Digital from a one and done progressive rock band. And the band that I'm talking about is, of course, UKZ. And this is their only studio release that they put out in their short existence, Radiation. So, UKZ was an international progressive rock band that was formed in 2007 by keyboardist and violinist Eddie Jobson, best known as the co founder for the 1970s progressive rock supergroup UK. And UKZ featured an all star band comprised of singer Aaron Liepert, formerly of Expanding Man, warr guitarist Trey Gunn from King Crimson, guitarist Alex Machacek, and drummer Marco Minnemann, who would go on to play with a number of different artists and bands such as The Aristocrats, Joe Satriani, and Stephen Wilson, to name a few. So, the purpose of UKZ was to form a players' band with a contemporary flavour to it. And the music is much more heavy. It has a rawness to it and has a metallic edge. And even though it's very much rooted in progressive rock, it leans much more towards progressive metal. And at times it sounds like King Crimson meets Nine Inch Nails. And you also have the spirit of UK, which is, of course, no surprise because you've got one of the cornerstones of that band in Eddie Jobson. So Trey Gunn brings more of the King Crimson quality to the music, as he was a big part of the mid 90s to the early 2000s King Crimson lineups. Alex Machacek channels in the spirits of the legendary Alan Holdsworth with his unbelievable guitar playing, which is more of the legato style of playing. And Marco Minnemann really channels the drum spirits of UK drummers Bill Bruford and Terry Bozzio, but still staying true to his own playing and with his own unique voice. And Marco Minnemann's drumming is a lot more harder hitting than Bill Bruford and Terry Bozzio. He brings a much more metallic, hard hitting edge to the music. And Aaron Liepert's vocals is very much leaning towards alternative and industrial, very similar to what Nine Inch Nails sounded back in the 90s. And of course, Eddie Jobson brings the classic UK style with his keyboards and shredding violin playing. And even though UKZ was short lived, they made a huge impact and a very big impression on me. When Radiation was released, I had really high hopes. The music was very strong, very powerful, and really went out of its way to make a huge statement. And I thought to myself, okay, Radiation is purely a warm up for a full studio album. But nothing happened. The band pretty much quietly folded up, and UKZ would end up becoming the launchpad for a UK reunion between Eddie Jobson and John Wetton. And this would lead to Alex Machacek and Marco Minnemann joining Eddie Jobson and John Wetton, thus giving birth to a brand new modern incarnation of UK, even though they didn't put out any new material. But they were an active live band for a number of years. The music from UKZ is incredibly strong. It's an EP, there's only 4 tracks, so it's a total of almost 30 minutes worth of music, but it's fantastic. The quality is just top notch. So let's have a quick look. we go. That's it. So the concept of UKZ is dealing with like, you know, greenhouse effect, pollution, nuclear radiation, hence the name. You know, there's all sorts of different things, you know, that they dabble in. It's not really a concept album as such, but they do address various different forms of, you know, power and things like that. So, you know, top to bottom, the material is incredibly strong and it's a real band. It is a real band effort. So we got the kickoff track, Radiation, which is just really strong. It starts off with lots of atmospheric synth sounds, and then it goes straight into like this almost larks, tons, and aspic sort of style of sound, and then it just goes straight into like full on 9 Inch Nails mode, and it's just an unbelievable opener. Eddie Jobson is shredding it up on violin. Alex Machacek is ripping it up on guitar. Unbelievable drumming from Marco Minnemann. Trey Gunn bringing lots of bass grooves and bass lines with his warr guitar. And Aaron Leeper, he really goes for that 9 Inch Nails sort of style of vocals. Just absolutely incredible. What a banger of an opener for this EP. And then we go into the atmospheric Houston. I'm going to say that Houston, although it's a good track, I would probably say it's the weakest track of the EP. There's not really much to it. It's a lot of dreamy synth sounds. It sounds fine. I think it's a really good track, but it kind of feels a little bit out of place, you know, when you look at the other tracks. And then we got TU-95, which is essentially King Crimson on steroids. It's just fantastic. Jobson and Mashachek just absolutely burn it up, and it's probably the hottest track of the entire EP. It's just incredible. And then we got the short solo guitar piece from Alex Machacek called Legend. It's under a minute. It's a nice little showcase for Alex Machacek, although he does get to stretch it out live and play like an extended solo performance of this piece. But it's nice to actually end it on a calm note. But overall, top to bottom, I think Radiation is remarkably strong for an EP. I would have loved to have seen a studio album from this band. Holy cow, this was red hot. Houston, I probably would say, was the weakest track of the EP, but still good. But the standouts for me are Radiation and TU-95. Legend's fine, but just a bit short. Would have liked to have had it stretched out to maybe like 3 or 4 minutes, perhaps. But overall, top to bottom, it's great. And what more can you expect? You know, when you've got Eddie Jobson at the helm, you know you're going to get an absolute banger. And Radiation, sadly, would be the only release that UKZ put out in their short existence. But I really wish Eddie Jobson would put this back together and record a studio album. You know, even if we can't get everyone back on board, but I would just have loved to have heard something because these guys had so much potential to really do something. And I looked at this as kind of like the 21st century version of UK. Obviously, the star power is not as high as UK. I mean, you know, you've got John Wetton, Bill Bruford, Alan Holdsworth, and Terry Bozzio, and Eddie Jobson. That's some pretty big star power. But these guys had all the tools and skills to be worthy successors of UK, but just wasn't meant to be. So I'm not really entirely sure what happened behind the scenes, but what we did get, just dynamite stuff, just absolutely dynamite. And I listened to this quite a lot, and it's just unbelievable, just so damn good. If only we had more, if only. But it is what it is. Maybe it just wasn't meant to be. But never say never. UKZ could come back one day, but I'm not holding my breath. It's been like what 17 years now? Jeez. 17 years since this album came out, but wow, just unbelievable stuff. So there you have it. UKZ Radiation, a fantastic EP from a very short lived, one and done, and super talented progressive rock band. Absolutely loved it. What a banger. Great stuff. So that's going to be it from me. I'm going to wrap this up now. What's your favourite track from UKZ Radiation? Is it the title track, Radiation, Houston, TU 95, or Legend? There's no right or wrong answer. We all have our favourite tracks. You know what to do, guys. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, leave your thoughts and comments down below, and I will see all of you next time for another edition of the Progressive Rock and Metal album review series. So until next time, take care, everybody, and stay safe. And once again, as always, much appreciated. Thanks for listening.